The 3D file format JLTF would not exist today if it was not for the contributions of Patrick Cousy, the founder and CEO of Cesium. He received Lifetime Achievement Award for this in 2023, and I would say Cesium are the co-creators of this file format with Chronos Group. Cesium as well created 3D tiles, and 3D tiles is an open standard for massive data sets of 3D geospatial data. Heterogeneous ones, where you have point clouds, beam, other 3D files, and you want to stream these massive data sets to users. With Cesium, you can do that. So you can think of Cesium as a foundational, open platform for 3D geospatial applications. They started from the web with their famous JavaScript library if you want to build web applications where you can see the Earth and any project that you place on it. And now, a couple of years ago, you can also do that with real-time engines such as Unreal Engine, Unity Engine, NVIDIA Omniverse, and even Godot, thanks to Cesium community. Cesium are big on data interoperability and open standards, and they are big when it comes to geospatial data. They are advancing this technology. So if you're an architect, a civil engineer, someone who works in real estate, or someone who works in aerospace industries and other industries such as urban planning, Internet of Things, digital twins, you want ground truth to place your projects in the easiest way possible. Cesium allows you to do that. It has never been easier to bring the world around our projects with a few clicks of a button thanks to Cesium. I remember one of our projects a couple of years ago. We spent weeks just designing the environments, and now click and we have it. So today I'm very excited to share with you this tutorial where we will take a look at Cesium, how to set it up on Unreal Engine, how to locate our projects, and how to use the sun and sky and some different tools. I hope you found this useful. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the lesson. If you want to learn more about the future, about the past of our industry, to learn about what's happening, how people are using all of this technology, I highly recommend listening to the podcast, Building the Open Metaverse. This one is by Patrick Cousy, the founder of Cesium, the CEO, and Mark Petit. He used to be the vice president at Epic Games. So imagine these two people talking to many industry leaders about many things, from IKEA to many other companies. This is a really good podcast. There is the blog. If you want to learn more, there is the learning section. And of course, there is the community. I hope you are excited to build projects on Earth, the Moon, the Mars, not the Sun, because it won't be there. To download Cesium, you can go to fab.com, click the link in the description. You will find Cesium for Unreal, Cesium for Unreal Samples. We will cover this later in the video. And you will also find Cesium for Unreal VR tutorials. If you follow along from the written tutorials, you definitely need to check this out. Now, Cesium for Unreal, click here, add it to your account if it's not already in your account. And when you click on download, this should open Epic Games Launcher for you. And if it won't open, just simply open Epic Games Launcher, go to your library, and under the Fab library here, you can search for Cesium. It will be added to your account, and then you need to click on Install to the engine. Right now, I have Cesium installed for both of my engines, 5.5 and 5.4, so I don't have any engine to select, but if it's not installed on your end, you need to select the engine, then click on Install, and that's it. Once you do that, you can open your project, and here I have a map called Cesium Earth. It's completely empty, and let's enable Cesium. So when you go to Edit, Plugins, you can type Cesium, and you need to enable this plugin. So if this is disabled, enable it and restart the engine. Open the engine again, or the moment it will open, you might see a new window here. Or if you don't see anything, you can go to Window and you can click on Cesium. The first thing we need to do is to connect to Cesium Ion. And Cesium Ion is a service by Cesium. It's where you can see your usage, where you can upload your assets if you want, and also where you can find datasets and more. In order to get started, let's connect to Cesium Ion. This will open your browser. If the link won't copy, you can copy the link. So here I will paste the link, and now I need to sign in. I can sign in with my username or email, or sign in with my Epic Games account. Once you do that, you sign in, you put your password, you authorize, you need to do final authorization. So now we can allow Unreal to access or to be authorized. If we go back here, we can see now we have the ability to add Cesium Ion Assets. And these assets, there is more to these, we can look at them later, but if we want to get started, we can take a look at Google Photorealistic 3D Tiles. Click here, we can create a new project token, or we can select an existing token. So you can create a new one depending on your project. All right, once you select your project token, you can see after it loads that there is something happening here, and that's good. Let's remove the darkness now by adding Cesium, Sun, and Sky. There we go. Now we have the whole world in front of us. So as I'm moving, I right click and scroll up to move my camera faster. And if you want to go much faster, you can increase the camera speed, scaler or modifier, and now whoa, look at this. As you can see, it's kind of hard to visit some other locations. You can still go technically. So this is 3D tiles in action. It's loading tile by tile, the level of detail. But this is not the best way to fly around your project. They generally advise to be within 100 kilometers within your world origin. Because in Unreal Engine, the grid or the world in Unreal is like flat, but in reality, we have the Earth. So that's why we have something like Cesium. This means if we hit on play, and if we talk about our default pawns and whatnot, they will not work if you want to fly around the project. We need Cesium pawn. And to find that, we can go to the content drawer. We can go to the engine or the engine plugins. So let's go to settings, show engine content, plugin content. That's good. So let's go to engine, plugins. Let's find Cesium. Here's Cesium. You can find it from here actually. So Cesium for Unreal content. You can find assets that comes with Cesium plugin, from the dynamic pawn and the game mode to special type of sky and to the mobile sky sphere. So if you're creating a mobile experience, you can replace the sun and sky because it does not work on mobile with this, at least as of now. We also have some blueprint widgets for the time of the day and the profiling. Also, this is a data asset, WGS84. So if you just Google this, World Geodetic System, if you open this, you can see here the radius. Here in this ellipsoid, you can see information about Earth. And these numbers you can get online. We will do similar process when we want to create the moon. So this is like a spoiler alert. When we want to create the moon, we want to create an asset similar to this and find this information. Let's go back to the center of our world. And if you simply want to use what Cesium did, if you click and drag from here, put the game mode to the game mode, we have the dynamic pawn as the pawn class. And if you open this, you're going to see some settings regarding how this actor, this camera, will move around Earth, how it will increase speed. This is very cool actually. So if you just give it a shot, click on play, give it a second to load. So now I scroll up to move faster. This is directly within the experience in Unreal Engine. I scroll down to move slower. So if you press T, you can change time of day, just like that. And this is because of the game mode we're using. And I believe if you press on P, we get the stats, the debug mode. Very cool stuff. Okay, this is how we bring the Earth. This is how you download Cesium. This is how you set up the game mode. In the next lessons, we're going to talk more about these tools here and answer any questions that you might have in the comments. You notice when we added Cesium, Google Photorealistic 3D Tiles, it added few actors. So if I select and delete all these, let's do that all over again. Let's notice what happens. Google Photorealistic 3D Tiles, click here. It's going to add multiple actors for us by default. We have the Cesium Camera Manager, the credit system, we have the geo reference, and we have the Google photorealistic 3D tiles, and this is the child of this. Now, let's add sun and sky again, Cesium sun and sky. And the reason you want Cesium sun and sky, it's because you can connect the georeference with the Cesium georeference. So when you change the latitude and the longitude from here, the sun and sky will also follow. We will not use the sun and sky that we usually find here. We have Cesium, sun, and sky. If you fly away from your location like this, you can always select the Cesium credit system and click on F. Let's delete the Google photorealistic 3D tiles. What else do we have? So click on Cesium. Here we have Cesium OSM Buildings. We have World Terrain and Bing Maps. We have aerial labels, Bing Maps Road, and these other assets. We also have, if you go to Window, Cesium Ion Assets. Here you will see other assets in your library. We also have Google photorealistic 3D tiles and some Bing maps, and we have much more. If you want to learn more about these, you can go to cesium.com, log in with your Epic Games account, and go to Cesium Ion. You can simply, if you go to the homepage and sign in, click Open Ion, you will see your stories. You have my assets, asset depot, access tokens, and so on. From here, you can add the moon. This is for another lesson, but if you want to prepare, you can simply click on the asset you want to add from the asset depot. So go here. Here you can find all the assets. Let's search for the moon, for example. You can add it. Let's search for Cesium OSM Buildings for CWB. You can add it. You can add any of these datasets. So New York 3D buildings. This is a special data set. You can see what it covers, and you can learn more about this data set, who submitted it, and any other important questions or information about it. This is also interesting. We have Japan 3D building data. This is recent. And what's also recent is the moon. So Japan and the moon, as far as I know, are the most recent two data sets, and we have also these. So once you add the data set, you're gonna see it under My Assets. And once it's under My Assets, if you go to Unreal, you can see it under Cesium Ion Assets when you are logged in. So let's say we want to see Bing maps. Maybe you tried this. So let's just quickly take a look because they are different from each other. Give it a few seconds to load. Let's say you want to change the location. All you need to do is to click on Cesium georeference and change the latitude and the longitude. So let's go to Google. So here I have Iceland latitude. Click any country, latitude, longitude, then copy these numbers. So this is the latitude, you can paste it here. And this is the longitude, you can paste it here. And let's just make sure the sun and sky is connected. So to set the sun correctly, we also need to set the date and time. Here we have the time zone. We can set this to the correct location. For any country you want, you can go to Google, search for a specific country time zone, set that in here, and you should be good. So now let's change the time to 7 p.m. Let's go to a different location, like, oh wow, look at this. This is beautiful. Another location, we can try Dubai. Now we type latitude and longitude. So we go to the Cesium georeference, paste it again, the latitude and the longitude. Let's not forget to set the time zone to 4. And now let's set the solar time to something like 9 a.m. And let's say if you go to a place where we don't have the 3D scans of the buildings, what we can do is adding the buildings. So Cesium OSM Buildings. OSM stands for Open Street Maps. So if you open Google and search OSM Open Street Map, you can find this website, and from here you can export some data sets. So you can select a specific location or what you see, select the information you want to export. We used to use OpenStreetMap and many other resources before Cesium to build environments around our projects. This is one of the data sources that's now simply connected with Cesium, that with a click of a button, what used to take hours, if not days or weeks or whatever, depending on the data set and the year, now is just click of a button. This is it. It's beautiful. Look at this. Because we have the game mode we set earlier, now if we click on play and let's say we hit on T to change the time of the day, Good stuff. So now if we want to look at other data sets, I'm going to delete the world terrain and the OSM buildings, and I'm going to go to Window, Cesium Ion Assets, and let's say, for example, the New York City buildings or Japan. So where is Japan? Let's add to level. Let's find Tokyo, latitude and longitude, copy the numbers for the latitude and the longitude. So here is the latitude and here is the longitude. Let's add one and paste. And now give it a few seconds to load. Look at this. I think maybe we can add just the aerial map, something under it. So this is the new data set, much better quality than Google Earth. Imagine what will happen when many more people and organizations and companies add more data sets. Imagine a future where anyone needs access to a specific location on Earth to build their application or project. They can easily do that. So with your hard work, with companies like Cesium, with engines like Unreal Engine, this is the future. This is possible. And I'm looking forward to that day. This for me never gets old. I love maps. I love flying and looking at different locations of the world. And now I can do that directly inside Unreal Engine. Your homework is to find beautiful locations on Earth and take some screenshots. And if you want to take a video, be my guest. I would love to see some videos. If you want to cut any part of the map and you're wondering how to do that, let's say your project is a new park, is a new building, is a new whatever is on your mind. So when you go to Cesium Cartographic Polygon, click on Create. By the way, the dynamic pond that we added earlier here, you can also add new one here, but now we just need this. Once you add it, I press F, and let's say I want to find the location. Let's say the location I want is next to these buildings. And you need to be careful how much you zoom in or out so things won't disappear. Now this cartographic polygon is part of this Cesium georeference. So this is like the parent for all our Cesium assets. So it makes sense at this point to make a folder and just call it Cesium Assets or Cesium. Select everything, put them here. If you lose the cartographic plugin, you can always then, if the project is big, go to the georeference and you can find it here. Place it where you want. Let's go to details, and under details, you have the polygon, and we have this globe anchor. This is a component we add to our global actors. We will talk about this in future, but I just wanted to highlight it. Now we just simply want the polygon, the SP line. If you zoom out, check this out. Here we have like a border, this here, that I completely didn't see because I was like pressing G and focusing on the selection here. So this here, our polygon, you can click on any of these vertices and move them where you want. And if you want more, you can simply press Alt and click to duplicate like this to be more accurate. So let's say I want to be more accurate here. I can do this. So let's bring that all the way here and bring this here. Then press Alt to be more accurate. Let's save. Okay, so now we have our spline set up. And what we need to do is to cut part of the terrain. What we need to do is to go to Cesium World Terrain, click on Add, and here we have many components we can add. But if you go up a little, we have Cesium components. We have multiple components and each can be used in different scenarios. This is what we want. Cesium Polygon Raster Overlay. Click on this. Now it's added as a component. And this is our line. Let me click here again and let's just switch it to red when it's not selected or anything, so we just can see it better. And now if you click here, click on the component that we've added. Under Cesium polygons, we can add multiple or we can add one. So here is multiple or just one. So let's delete these. Now click here, select the cartographic polygon that we've created earlier and we selected here. So now add this. And there we go. That's it. Or you can invert selection. And now we have the Bing maps. And since we have another data set, the buildings, so you can click on the world terrain. You can copy this. Let's go to Japan, 3D building data, and paste it here. So simply in the buildings, if you can create another Cesium polygon raster overlay or copy and paste, and there we go. So let's say I want only this part, so we can select only that part. So click here again, and now this is the only part, and now we can build your project next to this if you want. So this is absolutely amazing. This plugin or this tool is very easy to use. If you right click any vertex, by the way, you can delete it, or backspace, actually just delete to delete it. If you want to add new one, click anywhere. So add spline point here. You have some other options like align. So I leave these for you. You can close the loop, by the way, or not. So all these settings, if you have specific questions about anything that we covered so far, let me know and we will answer them in the upcoming videos. Today we're going to add the moon to our project in Unreal Engine, just because we can and because we should learn how to. So if you go to Cesium Ion, cesium.com, sign in, go to my assets or assets depot. From here you can add the moon. So let me put this on the side, we will need it later. If you want a written version of this tutorial by Cesium themselves, you can find that on their website. I will link you to that in the description. I opened this because we need the ellipsoid properties. Once you add the moon from here, so if you cannot find it, simply press Ctrl F and type moon Cesium terrain. Here you should have a plus button, click it, and that's it. You can see it under my assets. Now, if you go back to Unreal Engine, and if we go to create the moon, where do we start? How do we do that? Well, we go to Window, Cesium Ion Assets, and from here we load. Oh, we're not connected because Unreal Engine crashed. Thank you very much. So let's connect again. Thank you. So open the plugin if you're opening the engine for the first time to connect, and this will populate. Cesium Moon Terrain, add to the level. And now, technically, we have the Cesium Moon Terrain. What we need to do is to press Ctrl Space, and under here you can create a new folder for the assets, or simply you can create the asset next to the map. We need to simply search for data asset. So data asset under miscellaneous, it's hard to pronounce this, and from here you need to select what data asset. So as you can see, we have input action, we have environment query, and we also have Cesium ellipsoid. Select, let's say data asset underscore moon, click here. Now we need to set the radius on X, Y, and Z. We can simply copy the values from the written tutorial. I will leave these values for you also in the description as the same for this written tutorial. So let's copy. They are the exact same. All right, so now we have the asset. We can put it on the side or save it. Now let's select the georeference here. There we go. The ellipsoid, instead of the WGS84, this is for Earth. We need to select the data set or data asset we just made. So click on this one, then click on this arrow. And that's a step in the right direction, that's for sure. There we go. Now we switch to wireframe mode, and now we can see the moon. And I'm orbiting around it in a crazy way here to show you. Now, if we go to let, we don't see anything, and that's not okay. We need to add the Cesium sun and sky. Now, this is definitely not the atmosphere of the moon, because the moon is not supposed to have this atmosphere. What do? We click on the sun and sky. Then we expand this here a little bit. We go to the sky atmosphere, and under two settings that we need to find, there we go. So we need to set these two settings here, the atmosphere ray like and the atmosphere may. This one set to 0 and this one also set to 0, and there we go. And let's go back to the center of the moon, or the center of our world here, and you can see this. Here we are. This is beautiful. The moon. And just to give you a sense of scale, let's bring a Mr. Mannequin and let's put them, let's find first the model we want to add. So mannequins, meshes, click on the money, drag him, put them here, and go to F to focus selection. He's not even a pixel. Now this is massive, guys. So imagine switching, oh wow, that's too fast. Imagine switching parts of the terrain here with the Cartographic Polygon with some moon assets and start creating experiences on the moon. You can also search for space architecture, import some JLTF or some files, and show the Earth, what we got on the moon. If you're really into space and these things, check out other locations using the gazetteer of planetary, this thingy here. If you click on it, you can learn more about the moon. Yeah, this is just so cool to be in these websites. And like, this is what I say when you're learning Unreal Engine and using Unreal. It opens doors to different opportunities, to different industries, and see how, what other websites are there? Like, can you imagine you're casually exploring such websites for your projects in Unreal? I can show you some companies that are literally creating technology to print on the moon. There we go. This is one of the projects. So this is from the moon to the Mars. So there is potential for anything you're doing. Here's the canvas. Look for others, what they're creating, then show your work. And you don't know who you can work with. All right, now we have the moon. We have enough inspiration. I just want to show you how we can capture cinematics within our Unreal projects that are using Cesium. And your homework is to also see if you can capture some nice locations using Unreal and Cesium. The moon, Earth, anything you want. So if you follow the tutorial on Cesium website, there is the Copernicus crater. The latitude is 9.62. The longitude is minus 20.08. And if you copy and paste these numbers, here you see this, which is, take a moment to look at this. It's beautiful. So today we want to create a cinematic looking at this location here. So let's say camera like this or something like this, just any camera. Now, it's technically not just any camera, but let's render something and see what happens. And by the way, I truly love this. This is beautiful view. I definitely want this. I can go to Project Cesium, for example. This is a new project I made. It has nothing but just Earth, Moon, the data asset we made. Let's make a new folder and call it cinematics. Now, there are a billion ways where we can make animation assets. This is not a cinematic tutorial, but quickly when I want to create shots, I go to cinematics, level sequences, LS, and let's say this is shot number 1. So underscore 01, double click this. And let's say you found the view that you're happy with, you can click on this icon here that says create a new camera and set it to the current camera cut. And there we go. We have a sequencer, 30 frames per second, 150 frames, that's 5 seconds. And we have a camera, the camera cut, and we're ready to animate. Before I do that, I like to switch to the cinematic viewport. So I do that from clicking on perspective, viewport type, cinematic viewport. This will give me more controls, and I like to click here to go to the first frame. Now I would set a keyframe, then click here to go to the latest frame. So click one more, and let's say I'm going to move like this. And once I'm happy, I would click here. Now I'd enable create keyframes automatically. So instead of like moving the camera, so let's go back here. And as you can see, it didn't work. So I don't like this. I simply create my first keyframe, and then when I go to the end keyframe, I like to click here, and then I like to set this to linear. So I will click this keyframe here, also set it to linear, and I will create a keyframe, and I'm going to change the movement to whatever I like, and that's it. Because I have this enabled, all I need to do now is to script like this. Now I can adjust, or I can go up to change my first view, and now click play. This is very fast, so let's say I want just this much. Let's say I'm happy here. I can delete this keyframe and extend my animation like so. One of the reasons I also like to have my cinematic view enabled is to set my composition overlay. This will help focus. So we go the first keyframe. Let's say this is here. The end keyframe, let's say like this. Imagine zooming here in the next shot, orbiting around this area. So once you're happy, I would click on render this movie. Then I would go to the settings. From here, I want to add the anti-aliasing. And from here, we can increase the values here, the number of frames. So the engine warm-up count, render warm-up count. These are two settings if you want to give some time for the engine to load the data set before it starts rendering immediately. We can do that from here. So now I will simply delete anti-aliasing and just quickly render. Here you can see it almost finished rendering. That was very fast. If you want to give it like this extreme fast rendering, as you can see it, like we barely had any time to see what's happening, right? So if you want slightly more time, we can add anti-aliasing as a start. So let's do that. And then we can increase the settings here. So we can engine warm-up count. Let's set this to like, let's say 100 or yeah, set 100, click accept, render, and let's give it few moments. So here you can see it's from 0 to 100, and now it loaded the scene, and now it rendered the scene. So if we quickly take a look in a sort of few black frames and then something extremely, because of the light, how it loads like bright. Now our footage here is much better. And let's say, hey, you need then more time. It takes more to render. All you need to do is to increase the number here. So the engine warm-up count, I'm gonna set this like to 500. Let's render again. As you can see, it's counting to 500. When it finishes, it will render, and that will be it. So that's how you would render projects that are using datasets. If you really want to accelerate your learning journey with Cesium, if you want to make the most and the best out of Cesium, then you should see different case studies, or you want to see their Unreal samples because they're sick, they're beautiful. There is this project and this project. This one is for VR tutorials, but this one you need to check out 100% if you want to get started with Cesium and see really cool functions that you want to make, but someone have already done them. So you can open the project, reverse engineer it, and even migrate some elements to your commercial or personal projects using Unreal Engine and Cesium. So I will leave a link to this in the resources of this lesson. If you add this to your library, then open Epic Games Launcher, go to library, you can find Cesium for Unreal Samples, you can create a project. I already made one. Open this project and you will be welcomed with a welcome message and the need to sign into your Cesium account. Now, I'm going to close this panel so we have more real estate of beautiful 3D viewport to work with. And let's go back to the message we have here and press F10 to minimize what we have here, or even press F11 to go completely into the immersive mode. Now, welcome to Cesium for Unreal. This here is a complete introduction to what Cesium is, and here it says press 1 to return to this view. So if you just move around and you want to go back, you can press 1 to go back to this bookmark. And we have just one bookmark. In other maps, we have multiple bookmarks. And one thing that is important about Cesium, you definitely need to be aware of the camera speed if you want to go like really far. And let's go to content drawer. Here we have Cesium samples, we have maps, and we have 13 maps. Let's click on map number 1. I think we're already here. It's called Cesium World. Now, if we go to map number 2, we have Cesium Melbourne. Open it, give it a few seconds to load. So after some loading, here we have the city Melbourne. Sorry, I'm pronouncing this. I'm sure it's not right. But here we have a photogrammetry model that looks beautiful, as you can see here. And this is possible thanks to Cesium Ion. So this is being streamed in real time. So this is not Google Maps. This is a photogrammetry model of the city. And as you can see, it looks beautiful. If you just give it a few seconds to load, depending on where we look. But from this distance, where it was loading, it looks just incredible. So what type of real-time experiences you can build with Unreal and this technology here? Photogrammetry with geospatial and point clouds and interactivity. And I just love Unreal and the ability to fly in projects like this because it allows you to understand the context or anything you're building in complete freedom, whether you want to fly around or anything, basically anything, especially as a developer. You can also develop anything on top of this data. This is it for this map. Let's press Ctrl space and let's go to the third map. So here we have Cesium Denver. This is here captured at sub centimeter resolution for incredible photorealistic detail. In this level where we have set up Unreal Character Controller, let you explore photogrammetry from the ground, press 1 to view this. So here in this level, if you press F10 and go to the world settings, we have third person game mode. So if you press on play, this is what they set up for us. Let's press F11 and this is to the sub-centimeter level of detail. Oh, wow. Now, what you can easily do in such a project is to press F11, then go to Content Drawer, press on Fab if you already have the plugin, and type Pixel Street. Let's see what we get. So far in Fab, if you search without clicking on one of these major filters, you will get everything, but we got one of the Quixel assets, I remember. Now you can always set the price to free if you want to view only the free assets. And now we're gonna see assets from Sketchfab, Quixel, and others. So let's find something interesting. Let's see, do we have a street lamp? In this level, we don't have any. Wow, look at this. This is good quality. We don't have anything except for photogrammetry. So let's say we want this. Click here. Let's see if we can add it to the project. With one click, we were able to add this to the project, which is amazing. Now let's click and drag. Oopsie. The pivot is not where we want, but that's okay. Let's see. We don't have the modeling mode enabled. Let me enable it and show you how to fix this real quick. So edit, plugins, type in the search modeling tools editor mode, enable this, restart the engine. After we restart the engine, we are back here. So we can press Ctrl space, go back, open the level. Now this actor, we can try and fix the pivot. So I'm going to click on modeling and I will click on X-form. Edit pivot, and let's set this to bottom, and let's set on accept. Let's save, and now let's press Ctrl B, click and drag, and now we have a perfect pivot every time we place any of these assets. And you can press here to place a light, and you can set the light this here. Just go to the top view and set it where it should be. Left view, this is a good place. And let's increase the intensity because we have a big sunlight. Then just simply increase this to a much bigger value. There we go. Look at this. Let's move to the next map. So we have map number 4. This one have multiple maps and this one is very cool. So let's open the main map, and here this will switch between multiple maps, multiple sub-levels. If you press on play, if you hit one, you will spawn to the main view, and if you hit on 2, it will go up and it will slowly load the other map, or here we are, and look at this. Now press 3, that's the third, or yeah, that's the third location. It's beautiful, isn't it? And 4 for another location. And you can expand on this. And I love how the lighting changes between locations on Earth. Wow. So these buildings are from OSM, as far as I believe. OpenStreetMap. Yes, they are. In Paris. You can switch parts to your own custom buildings and so on. So I press 1 again to switch to our original location, but you can press on escape and this will take you here. Wow, look at this. Let's just take a screenshot for the good days. I love this. Here's another one. So let's press on 1 to go back here. And here you can see Denver, this here, photogrammetry. Then we saw the Grand Canyon. It's using Cesium World Terrain. Boston is using photogrammetry. Paris, the OSM Buildings. Beautiful. Let's move to the next map, number 5. So here, Cesium World Post-Processing. Let's go. Let's see this map. So in this level, we show a sneak peek at combining Unreal rendering capabilities with Cesium Unreal to see this beautiful scene here. Press 1 again. Check this out. In terms of merging Unreal Engine beautiful capabilities, so we all know Unreal Engine in terms of photorealism and atmospheric effects and lighting is beautiful. But let me show you something I did for a project I was working on. It's a project that you will see, but you gotta be a little patient. So here I have another project where I have Cesium moon terrain and some cool effects I have on my post-process volume. For example, the glitch effect, I think is very cool. So let's increase the radius. This grid, we can make it smaller or bigger, and we can change where it goes. So it can scan the whole thing, as you can see. And this is just beautiful, don't you think? Now we have some reference. So yeah, this is the combination of Unreal, beautiful post-processing effects and Cesium. Let's go to map number 6. So we have Cesium metadata, and this is really cool demo. We can access all sorts of types of metadata using Cesium Ion models as well. So if I select any part of the building, I can learn about its metadata. Let's open the second map, well, number 7, Cesium Multiview. This is a really cool one as well. So this scene, we can see the world from multiple angles. Press on play, you can see a mini map, and we can see a satellite view. So it's loading. It will move the mini map with me as well. I'm not sure about the globe view. I don't think it moves, but at least the mini map on the top right is just really nice. If you zoom in, it will zoom in more. Just give it a few seconds to load. There we go. So these are multiple views happening in real time. You can literally take the same exact blueprint and use it in your project. So what happened if we go to the very, very top? There we go. So the minimap now is looking cool. Here is not. Yes, you can do this type of fun. Yes, imagine all the cool renders you can create. Map number 7. Map number 8 is called Cesium Clipping. And this is for anyone who's asking, how can I change the water? One of the good options or good solutions is clipping. So give this a few seconds and it's loading the shaders. So we're gonna be a little patient. After waiting a little bit more, the shader is not loading, but I will leave this for another time. Now, let's just keep moving. Map number 9, Cesium Material Editing. We can edit the materials, by the way. So here's another map where we have the water and the same effect in the previous map. So at least we know here it's working, and you can copy or practice making the other map works. Now I press Ctrl space to move on to number 10. So OSM Windows metadata. This is absolutely one of the best scenes I have ever seen. 100% I will give this 10 by 10. So OSM buildings, when you load them, they all have one material, and that material usually is one color. But here with metadata, we are able to assign this material to all the buildings, and they will have a really nice windows. So let's just give it a few seconds, or let's check this out. There we go. I believe this looks better. So there is this map, and you can click and you can go to details, and let's see if we can find the material somewhere. So we need to click on the root here. Encoded meta. This is a component, and from here we have the material. And if you double click that material, you're gonna see something interesting. And if we look at this view, for example, there we go. Very nice. Now, let's move to the next level. So I'm going to press Ctrl space, number 11, Cesium Point Clouds. Here we have multiple point clouds for different cities. Number 1, Melbourne. These are so cool and beautiful to visualize. Press F11. Wow, it looks something from distance, and when you get closer, you get this beautiful effect. It's surreal. Let's press Ctrl space to move to the next level. Cesium Google Maps. We all know this, that's for sure. This is here, your good old Google Maps inside Unreal Engine. The same. So let's move to the next level. And this is one of my favorites, Cesium Tile Excluder. Behold, let's press F11 and press on play and give it a few seconds. Now, as you can see, the world around us is 3D. It's the world we are imagined to see in Unreal. But here we have Google 3D tiles and we have progress for the loading. We can change the box size, how much we see. Imagine there is a table here with like cool design where you can see this, and there you go. You can move this. Years ago, we had a project like this. It was extremely challenging and we never had Google tiles like this. But now, thanks to Cesium and this sample project, you can easily have this in your project. The way this will work with your projects, I would imagine you would have a third person or first person camera or pawn or character, and then when you want to activate this, you would switch the character pawn and have control over this. Or maybe you can have a terminal or some sort of controller to control this or do the same effect. So box mask, oops, what did we do? Wait for it. Yeah, this will load now a bigger area, if I'm not mistaken. Excluder will reload everything. Now box mask should mask this area. So without it, we have everything loading at the same time at once. So you have your default world view with one click. Amazing. So these are the 13 maps in the Cesium samples. Every map comes with its own actors and important files, so you can easily migrate this to your other projects and reverse engineer these. We're going to talk about 3D tiles and exporting them. We will be using Cesium Ion 3ds Max plugin to tile our 3D content or to convert our 3D content into 3D tiles. And this will allow us to share our complex projects, our complex scenes on the web without losing any detail. And you might ask, what are 3D tiles? 3D tiles are an open standard for massive and heterogeneous 3D geospatial datasets. And these datasets can be point clouds, buildings, photogrammetry, 3D meshes, and so on. 3D tiles are built on top of JLTF and other types of 3D data. One of the best things I have seen so far, because you can bring your projects, tile them, geolocate them, and then you can stream them to Unreal Engine, to the web, and everywhere. They are interactive, stylable, adaptable, flexible, and they have many, many more features. I will leave a link to learn more about 3D tiles in the description. To get started, we need the exporter plugin, and you can find that under Autodesk Store. So I will leave a link to that in the description as well. Sign in with your account and click on download. Let's save the file under temp and let's open it. I need to close 3ds Max real quick. So let's close the versions I have. We're gonna do 2 exercises. I will click run anyway and install. Click on yes, and that's it. If you click on view documentation, it will take you to the documentation page where you have many important links if you want to learn more. Now, let's simply close this and open 3ds Max to 3D tile our project. So this is one of our projects we did in the past. You will not have this in downloads, but you are going to have the other exercise if you want to 3D tile anything. I will select the building or keep everything as it is, and I will simply go to File, Export, and click on Export to Cesium Ion. We need to give this a name, so I'm going to call it Project Berlin V Test, because I will remove this, description, attribution, and so on. Now we need to select the model type, 3D model, or convert it to JLTF, or if this is a 3D capture. I will leave this on the default, and if you click on Upload to Cesium Ion, it will prompt us to sign in and authorize the plugin. So let's click on Allow, and let's go back here and click on Upload to Cesium Ion again after you authorize it. Now I got authorization complete. Now, if we go back to Max here, we can click on upload to Cesium Ion. Give it a few seconds, it will export as FBX, and we will see the progress for the upload. Of course, it's worth mentioning that Cesium are the developers of 3D tiles, and 3D tiles are the standard for the Open Geospatial Consortium. The file is uploaded. This is our assets. If you open Cesium Ion, you can go to your assets. These are the assets you claim or the assets within your project by default. And here are some tests I did earlier. So this asset here now is to be considered a 3D tile. When you click on the 3D tile, we need to set the location. And we can see that within the preview menu here. So you can make this big if you want to see the project you exported. Middle mouse button to orbit around, right mouse button to zoom in and out, and left mouse button to move left and right. So this is massive. Let's click here on tile location so we can set the tile location and it will open the Earth view for us. I can go to the search and search for Berlin. Let's click on search. From here, we can choose the terrain type, but I'm going to leave it to Cesium World Terrain, and I will zoom into where I know my project is. So give me a second to remember. I believe it's here. All right, there we go. So this is the project. It's already built, beautiful. And now we can click on next. Oops, this got us back to the global view. So you simply need to click and drag your building. So this is the place. Click on the axis, zoom in with the mouse, move it like so, and middle mouse button to orbit the view. Click on the three dots if you want to switch from move to rotate. And now let's rotate the building. If you made a mistake like so, like I did here, we can change the settings manually, the position and the rotation. So I will set this to 0 and I will click here again to set to move, and I will move the building. Now, if you already have the credentials, the latitude, longitude, and height, you can set them from here. Click here again, move it like so, and we are really close. Once you're happy, click on save, and that's it. We saved the location of our 3D tiles. Now, if you go back to the asset, we can see the asset we just uploaded. It's geolocated where we want it to be. Now, under information, you can change the name, description, attribution. You can make it available for download. You can go to source files to check what is the source file of this 3D tile. And if you want to export this to a server or view it online on the web, you can go to export, click on export asset and set the settings for you. But this is beyond today's lesson, so let's click on cancel. And for me now, I'm going to remove this because I already have that asset, so let's delete. Let me show you something amazing. Now, I will go back to Unreal Engine and let's enable Cesium. So I'll go to Window, Cesium Ion Assets. So we have the JLTF. We cannot add this to the project, at least yet. And we have our building, the one we just exported from 3ds Max. Click on Add to Level. It will be added to our level. And if you want to see what's happening a little bit, let's add the maps. So let's add Google photorealistic 3D tiles, for example, as well as the Cesium Sun and Sky. So let's click here on Cesium and let's add Cesium Sun and Sky. Give it a few seconds to fix the exposure. And of course, we don't see any building or anything. That's because we need to set the location of Berlin. And that's the beauty of it. So let's click on Cesium GeoReference and let's place the latitude and the longitude. This is for the latitude and this is for the longitude. And for the origin height, I will set it to 0. So we are close to the ground. And check this out. Let's just reduce the exposure a little bit or the lens flare, but we can see now our building. on top of the Google Map building. So I'll quickly add the post-process volume to disable the lens flare. I will go to Add, go to Visual Effects, Post-process volume. Let's make it infinite. So I scroll all the way down to where I have post-process volume settings, infinite extent, enable this, and let's go to where we have the exposure or the lens flare, and let's set the intensity to 0. Check this out. This is our building, 3D tiled, exactly where it should be, or very close to where it should be. We did it manually, fast, but that's amazing. And of course, you can go back to Cesium Ion and edit the location of the building in order to place it exactly where it should be. And you can do that from here. Adjust tile set location. I will not adjust the location, but I will show you that yes, you can do it. So let's close this. Let's go back here and let's open the other project that we started our lessons with so we can do the same. So here, then I press on File, Export, Export to Cesium Ion. Maple Villas. I think it will export the whole thing, but that's okay. So let's click on Upload to Cesium Ion. It will take some time, so I will see you in a minute. When export is finished, it will open Cesium Ion for us automatically, and it will take few seconds to few minutes here to retrieve the files, to do its thing behind the scenes. So let's take a good look at planet Earth while it's doing its thing. Check this out. Earth within our hands. After tiling is finished, we're gonna see our project here, and it's looking great. So scroll to zoom, left mouse to pan the camera, and right mouse button to also zoom. Let's set the location of our 3D tile. So I'll click here and give it a few seconds to open this page. Now let's go to the location to our project, and if I'm not mistaken, it should be around here. All right, so the project is near this area. Here we are. These are the houses that we want to locate. Now I click on Next. Give it a few seconds or zoom out if something is off. I believe something is off. And the latitude and longitude, I think we need to put them manually. This might be a bug, so give me a second to do that. So here's the location on Google Earth. We can either copy the credentials, the coordinates, or we can try to search again. So here I will type New York, and here is our project. Now we need to move the project to its location. So some bug happened. Usually this never happened, but that's okay. So let's zoom out and let's go to the Hamptons, move and move, zoom out a little to know the exact location, and then we can zoom in again. This is the location we're looking for. So I will click on the villas and move them to our location here. We can also adjust the height by clicking on the blue arrow for the Z-axis and move like so. Click here to rotate. And what I love about 3D tiles or georeferencing my project in Cesium, to be honest, is the simplest, easiest way ever to do this. And now we can get the exact latitude, longitude, and the rotation for our project. So when we go back to Unreal Engine, we know exactly where we need to place this project. As you can see, this is amazing. This is beautiful. Once you're happy, you can click on Save, and you can memorize these numbers or copy them. So you can also insert them in Unreal Engine when you import your project. What's really important is this value for me here. Once I export my project with DataSet, I can select my main DataSet actor and have a global orientation for this with -32 degrees of my villas. So they would be in the exact same location and rotation on Earth. So let's go back here, make sure we saved everything. It did, and we can simply go back to our assets. We can make this available for download, so I can download it later in Unreal Engine. It will archive it and whatnot, Again, we can see the source files and we can export this to the web if we want. And if you give this some time, it will also appear in your library under my assets under Cesium Ion here. And it's been added to our level. So we can quickly go to New York by pressing on the Cesium georeference. Let's go back to where we have our asset and let's click on adjust tile set location just to copy the numbers from here. So let's start with the longitude. I will paste it here. Let's copy the latitude. I'll paste it here. And for the origin height, we can take the exact same origin height from here and place it if we want. Let's adjust the brightness of the exposure, reduce it a little bit, and let's find our location. So it should be here. If we look on the left, there we go. Now imagine how easy it is to export our data.meth file, place it on top of this, then use Cesium Cartographic Polygon to cut out some area to place some trees so we can see our building here. So why don't we do that? Let's add Cesium Cartographic Polygon and zoom out a little, press on G multiple times so we can see the polygon. If you cannot see it, we should see a box. It's a little hard to see. So there we go. Click, click. Maybe you can see it like so. And we can move the box to any location we want. Now I'm just gonna keep it as a box. We can go to any layer we want. In this case, we want the Google Photorealistic 3D tiles. We want to go to add, and we want to search for Cesium Polygon Raster Overlay. Click here. Now we want to select our polygon, so click. Then you can either select from a list or simply pick from the scene. So it's kind of hard to pick from the scene because we cannot see the overlay. It's just best we do it from here. Once you do, you're gonna see your project. Cesium made one of my dreams come true. And this dream is, hey, is it possible to import all my projects inside Unreal Engine in the past 10 years? And the answer is yes, you can. I really hope you enjoyed today's lesson and you learned something new. I cannot wait to see your projects placed on Earth, the Moon, and in between. If you create something, feel free to tag us on LinkedIn. You will find me. All the links are in the description. And if you have any questions, let us also know in the comments down below. I will see you in part 3. Bye bye.